I don't think I can do this job, Tim. As soon as I lay down, all I see are those kids' faces. How long you been doing this? 12 years. How do you do it?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's gonna pass the drug trade.
Señor Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? Quizá puedas ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana.
Imagine walking into a room right now, seeing an empty bed. What will we do?
We're Homeland Security. You know we can't go off rescuing kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces. This is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
We're talking about extracting an 11-year-old girl from an army of rebels.
Not just her. I'm talking about rescuing hundreds of kids.
She could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA.
Over 2 million children a year are being sucked into the deepest recesses of hell. If we do nothing, someday it's gonna reach the likes of you. What if this was your daughter?
Wherever I go, I find my way home.
If you would like to help us expose the horrible reality of human trafficking by bringing this true powerful story to the big screen, express interest now at angel.com/freedom.
Good evening. Welcome to Kingdom Lum Small Town Underground. I do not think that the video actually played, but we could hear it, so of course we're going to be reporting on it. So good evening, everybody. Let me shorten this screen a little bit because we are going to jump down the rabbit hole of Sound of Freedom. How is everybody doing this evening? I'm going to change my comments and multi-stream so I can see. Ray says, what's up? Hello, hello. Good evening, good people. So, for starters, if you haven't already went to see the movie, and I know it's getting a ton of press, but it's worth it. It's worth forgetting about all the toilet flushing and the country and all the crap that's going on. You know, at least Zelensky didn't get into NATO yet, anyway. But we're just going to focus on Sound of Freedom tonight and take a quick break from all of the BS. Before I actually get started in this, I do want to share one thing. A friend of mine, and I'm not going to name any names at the moment, okay? But a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, and a true patriot in the fight against stupidity and evil and all things unconstitutional, received a letter in the mail. And they sent me a picture of the letter. And I can't really read where it comes from. It's not addressed to this person. But there was a note inside that says, Trump lost you F blah 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 INC GO DAMN stupid ASS with a ha on it. So I thought that was rather disturbing, and that was something that new that just crossed over to me in the last couple hours, that these sicko people are now sending letters in the mail. And I mean, it just shows how stupid and idiotic and crazy things are, to where somebody is getting a letter in the mail that says something that dumb, you know. And don't think for a second that they're not going to politicize every single thing in life. I mean, that's where we're at now. Everything has been politicized. This movie is being politicized. But the days where we start getting letters in the mail saying the most idiotic stuff like that, most childish, idiotic, you cannot reason with these people. So the same thing I say all the time. You stand your ground and don't give an inch. Don't care about winning or losing and all of this crap, because in the end of the day, it's where you're going to end up, what ground that you're standing on, you know, because there is no compromising with people that are willing to send these types of letters out in the mail to people. And what's going to be next? Are they going to be, you know, coating the letter with things? I mean, it's absolutely crazy how sick and twisted people are. And so I just want to bring that to your attention. Watch your mail, people. Watch what you're getting from people. Watch what's coming around, because people are more brazen. They're more out of their mind. They're more SSRI, drug-addled people that are just insane. And as we try to sit here and be the voice of reason, and the person that this letter went to is one of the greatest people I know. You know, would give you the shirt off their back, would do anything, Flippo, would stop and give water to the homeless. I mean, do anything. And it has no right or rhyme or reason whatsoever to get a letter like this in the mail from some idiot. Hopefully, it's just a stupid joke from a very irresponsible, you know, and not like some true whack job. But anybody that's willing to do that, you know, is just stupid. I mean, what can you say? But it can be dangerous. And of course, I'm preaching to the choir here how dangerous things can get as we go and unravel this movie. So thank you for joining in. I appreciate it. So what we're going to do, I played the trailer for Sound of Freedom, and I'm sure I know a lot of people have watched the movie. But the main reason I played it was because now Facebook is giving me copyright strikes and telling me that I can't use the music that I paid for to make the music that I've been using for a year and a half. And then they tell me that their copyright on music doesn't apply in other countries. And so that took me down a rabbit hole. And I'm like, wait a minute, you telling me people are watching in other countries? And sure enough, it's weird. You know, maybe it's all my CIA family, my CIA daddy that's watching me. I don't know, my FBI daddy that's sitting in another country, or maybe it could be using a VPN. I don't know. But anyway, that kind of struck me as odd. I certainly didn't think that I'm playing in other countries, but therefore I can't use the music anymore. So next week it's going to be my hair's not parted right, and so they're going to have to strike the video. Before we jump right into this, I got several things to go over, because we're going to go down this rabbit hole, and I want to be very clear, especially people leaving comments. If you'll make sure to... let's keep it to where that I don't get completely deplatformed here. So we're not going to be using certain words for obvious reasons, and I'm going to refer to things that I don't like as can openers. You know, kind of like, I'll give you an example. Adam Schiff, he's a can opener, okay? And Nancy Pelosi, she's a can opener, okay? And of course, we can let our minds, you know, devolve whatever we want to think that I mean by that. But anyway, it'll get past the censor. So, starting off, let's go back, and I watched The Sound of Freedom Sunday night after work. Wore out. It was a late show. We didn't get home till midnight. And I told my family, I said, you've got to go. We've all got to go. All got to go and watch this. Now, I watched a lot of clips on Jim Caviezel in this movie coming out, and I had to go watch it. And we'd already made plans at one time to go watch it, and then it fell through, and I was like, you know what? This is it. We're going to go do this. So we bought our tickets, of course, and you can get them free right now. You can get them free online if you don't want to pay for them. There's pay it forward, but we wanted to pay. We did. And so I knew a lot about the movie and was learning about Tim Ballard and about some other things and some things that were sent to me. And so we kind of went into the movie. My kids, I think that they watched the preview, but they didn't really know a whole lot about it. And their mother had a conversation with them. And my wife knew a lot about it from me and her talking. So, excuse me, let me turn this fan off. So we went and watched it. And I have to say, I was blown away. I was left speechless. It was a hard movie to sit and watch. It was very emotional. It was an emotional roller coaster. from start to finish. It wasn't one of these movies that builds up toward the very end to where, oh, I'm going to get a cry out of you, you know. I mean, literally, like the first 10, 15 minutes, it's like, whoa, this is heavy, you know. And so we watched the film, and of course, full disclosure, I mean, after the movie was over, I just kind of had to sit there with my eyes closed, you know, kind of holding back tears, just trying to gather my senses, right? Because it was an emotional movie. And my wife was the same way, and we walked out. And, of course, on the way home, we talked about it. We talked about what we had just seen and how, in reality, this is a thing, and it has been a thing. And, you know, we didn't really scratch the surface about things because my younger one, you know, she understood the movie but didn't understand effectually, I think. But my oldest, you know, her silence to me was enough that made me understand that she got it, you know. But anyway, it was a killer movie, and I urge every single body to watch the movie. One reason is for the same way of Bud Light. We have a horrible culture war going on in this country right now, and this is just another way that you can strike back against the culture war, and put your money where your mouth is. Right? Go see this film. It is not good. It's not going to be a good time. It's not a date night film. And there are many more films out there that cover these types of issues that have been out for a long time. So this is not the end all be all either, but it's definitely worth your time, and it's worth the money to go to the organizations that we're going to cover. And like I said, when I say rabbit hole, we're going to go both ways: the good, the bad, the ugly, all this stuff, because there's been way too much crap going on around this movie. So anyway, I tried to show you the preview, and that didn't work very well. But we're going to talk about, I think, to me, why this is so important, because I want to go ahead and bring up the first article that I had read. And yes, my window's working, so I'm going to expand this a little bit so everybody can see this. Rolling Stone: Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. The QAnon-tinged thriller about you know what is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. All right? This was the review that this movie got. Now, I don't know about you, but I mean, I grew up on Rolling Stone. I used to go down to the library after school and pick the Rolling Stone articles up and sit there and read them. You know, I used to get, one time I had a subscription to Rolling Stone. I was, you know, the punk rock band kid, grunge kid of the 90s. I loved, you know, reading stories of Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, all these things. Soundgarden, you name it. And to see how low that Rolling Stone has become, it's worth noting. It's worth noting that this is not only a garbage article. And it's funny because I can't even read the full story. I could read the full story on my phone, but after trying to pull this up for research, I can't. This quote, based on a true story I heard from somewhere across the theater. Anyway, I don't even want to read this. I mean, the headline paints the perfect picture. This is the narrative that these people are running with, okay? Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. I mean, and it's QAnon, blah, 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 blah. It's crazy to me. This was another article that came across why anti-trafficking experts are torching Sound of Freedom. The new movie offers a false perception of you-know-what that experts worry could further harm the real victims. Well, I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, I honestly think I'm going to be kicked off here tonight. I'm telling you. I feel it. Because everything is acting... Everything's acting crazy tonight. So just bear with me. But anyway, like my computer's trying to freeze up. I don't even know what... Oh, here we go. So, and of course, this is another Subscribe Now article. Read that. That was July the 12th. So they released the first article on the 7th. This is on the 12th. They're looking for every single reason to denounce this film. And it's absolutely incredible. Here we move on to Forbes, which is a newer article that I had found. This was on the 11th, of course, but it says box office hit Sound of Freedom controversy, including QAnon ties and false claims theaters are sabotaging screenings, explained. Thank you so much, Forbes, for explaining your garbage article. All right, garbage. This stuff is garbage. Now, this is 3 separate different articles that are all tied to the same thing. They want you to think this is some conspiracy theory, QAnon, stuff. These people are can openers. They're can openers. I don't even want to read this stuff because I want to get into some bad and some ugly. But here's investigation, QAnon conspiracy, Rotten Tomatoes, blah, 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 blah. It has 77 critic score as of the 11th. But you have to see these articles. I'm sure that you've seen them on. I'm sure that you've seen them already. I mean, they've been going around everywhere. Variety. How Jim Caviezel's faith-based Sound of Freedom became this summer's unlikely box office hit. Blah blah blah. Opened last Tuesday, which I think they're up to like 50 million now. They beat Indiana Jones. I mean, of course they beat Indiana Jones. By the way, I didn't see any ESG in this film or any kind of equitable inclusion. It was a straight-up film, based on a true story. As with July 4th numbers, it's one of the big... today's numbers exceed expectations. Anyway. And they're calling it's one of the biggest openings in recent times for a faith-based film. Anything that's got to do with God, they automatically call it faith-based, I want you to see the narrative going on here. I mean, you've got to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to see the freaking narrative that's going on here. Which is why I decided to devote tonight to this movie. Because this is some crazy, crazy stuff here. There was a few more. There was another Variety article that I could not find that was pretty alarming. I thought I had it in here. But anyway, so let's get down to some meat and potatoes. So you've seen the articles, you've seen them going around everywhere. You've seen this narrative that that these corporate mainstream media can openers are setting forth here, trying to denounce this movie. Which was directed by Alejandro Monteverde. But now let's Sound of Freedom has also stirred up some controversy, with detractors accusing the film of embellishing the reality of blank and stoking QAnon conspiracy theories. Rolling Stone called Sound of Freedom a QAnon-tinged thriller, one that is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. This is just crap. It's absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. So I'm trying to find the one here. So we're going to cover a little bit. So what do we know about Sound of Freedom? Tim Ballard, who is a real man, Operation Underground Railroad, which we're going to cover in a little while. Okay, that he was a real man. Worked for the I'm losing my train of thought here. He worked for the Department of Homeland Security. He was working on these blank cases, and then he went off on his own. And the story is based on a real situation of where he went down to Colombia, and they set up this sting rental property, and they put cameras up, and they do all of these things to catch these people that are nabbing the kids. I did want to do a little more context here, and I'm sorry, y'all, I can't find the freaking video. The part that I wanted to share with you guys, but this was actually several years old. This movie was done in 2018. All right. And I'm trying to find you guys exactly what I'm talking about here. And I'm sure that more and more people that are looking into this have seen it. But, let's see. Where is it? Anyway, the film was done in 2018, and I believe that Fox was the parent company, and there was a list of people, and they'd done this film, and then Disney bought Fox, and as soon as Disney bought Fox, guess what? They shelved it. They said, "No, we don't want to play this." They shelved it, and so it basically sat on the shelf for like 5 years until they could finally purchase the rights, and then they did the crowdfunding where they did the pay it forward, and they had to jump through all of these hoops, and then they also had to put out the fact that they could have several tickets paid in advance before they could get shown in theaters. I'm talking about they jumped through every hoop possible to get this film out. This film was done in 2018. Now, if you're on my channel, Facebook, Kingdom Love Small Town, then you would know that they actually... there's a video that I released, and if you haven't watched the movie yet, because I'm trying not to do any spoilers, but if you haven't watched the movie, then you'll understand that this was all... The movie is sort of like there's several things in the movie that didn't really happen, right? But the story is based on a true story. They actually show you, because it's 2014 when it was okay to talk about these things. You know, it was, I believe CBS did an article, a live report, and they actually showed you video of the actual sting. And I'm telling you, the way the actual video footage from the real situation looks just like the movie. I mean, they couldn't have done a better job doing that. And I found it very, very peculiar that Disney was the ones that decided to shelve the film. Now, there's a whole lot of conspiracy theory about who has picked up this film now. And let me go ahead and pull up some of my notes here real quick, because like I said, we're going to cover this whole thing in for what it is. You know, Carlos Slim, for example. So before I go into like the rabbit hole territory, I will say the film's worth watching. This is several years old. I believe that the actual news broadcast was like in 2014 on this. Of course, we never really heard of it. I've heard of Sound of Freedom a little bit over the years, but it took them years to get this movie up here. So where I stand on this as a conspiracy theorist is I believe that this is a very good, and this is a win. This is a win for the culture to have something like this being brought out and being fought for, and in the way it's being pursued, and we'll be bringing up the groups in a little while. Maybe we can get involved. But this is a win. I look at this as a win. Now, that being said, I want to go off into a little conspiracy territory. So, conspiracy time. Could this be a way to bring in chipping for children? Now, this is one big conspiracy theory that's been going around on the internet. Well, this movie was released, and even though it looks like it's a great movie and it really brings up some pertinent issues, this is a way to scare people into chipping their children like we would a dog or a cat. So, on my tinfoil hat-o-meter, I cannot see this. Sure, we can make any kind of mountain out of a molehill, but I can't really see that this movie is being used in that way, considering everything that it's went through to get onto the screen. Considering, for the simple fact of Occam's Razor, you know, the movie's designed to bring out the emotion and the awareness of the situation. Okay, if you watch the film, and a lot of people, a lot of people that are commenting on the film haven't watched the film. They haven't even watched it, and they have all their little excuses in the world, right? But conspiracy theory number one: do I think this is yet another way so that our government and our artificial intelligence and blah, 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 can digitize our children with chips? I don't think so. I don't think so. They've been, if they really wanted to do that, they would have already done it. You know, I mean, they're trying to do it anyway. Just because this movie came out in July after 5 years of sitting on the shelf because Disney decided not to release it, right? We all know about Disney. I'm having trouble buying that conspiracy theory. Of course, I question everything. And then there's the matter of the backer, Carlos Slim, which I'm going to see if we can look up some of him real quick, because I didn't get a chance to do it all. Let's see, Carlos Slim. Sound of Freedom. So he apparently is this man that is a bad man that is put this film out. And of course, I don't know, Sound of Freedom, Clinton Foundation. There's all kinds of stuff. There's all conspiracy theories going on. But Carlos Slim is, oh Lord. Let's see. I can look this one up. Owen Benjamin, for crying out loud. I love Owen Benjamin to death. This is his conspiracy take, right? This is Carlos Slim, the financial backer of Sound of Freedom. I don't hate the movie, by the way. Blah, blah, blah. So it's, anyway. So, there's a picture of Carlos Slim with Hillary Clinton. I get it. I get it, right? Don't like it, but I get it. So we can go down the rabbit hole. Now, you got to remember that this movie is made out of Utah, Angel Studios. The studio was something different. You've got to understand that even several years ago, and I don't know when this picture was taken, but, people, we act like that because we can't stand somebody now that we may have not been friends with them back then. The world is constantly changing. You can't always base things on just a picture of somebody. I get it. I truly, truly get it. But at the same time, there's a character in the film who is a cartel. We used to be a cartel boss, and he's helping our protagonist out. That's all I'll say about that, so don't spoil it. My point is there's a scene in this film where he explains, he says, why do you do it? And it's all over social media if you've ever seen it. And it was probably my favorite scene out of the whole movie, even after I'd already seen the scene 2 or 3 times, just sitting here. We tend to judge people. Maybe Carlos Slim changed. I don't know. Maybe this is his penance for his past sins. I don't know. I'm not here to throw rocks. I'm here to look at this movie objectively as, hey, what is this? So that is kind of conspiracy theory number 2. There's so much stuff going around. And then there's the conspiracy theory about Jim Caviezel looking at what in order to get into the role of things, And I thought about this one, man, for a little while. I really thought about, how do I explain this? Because, I'm a big fan of, was a big fan of Robert De Niro. He's a can opener. But, Robert De Niro and the way he method acts, and I'm thinking, gosh, if that's true, which I have not seen a video of him say that he has actually watched stuff. But regardless, I don't know. I don't. It's hard for me to sit down and watch this movie. It's hard. It'd be hard for anybody to think that you'd have to go through and watch that. I'm guessing on some sort of level. A cop has to watch it. The jury might have to watch it. I don't know. All I'm saying is that I'm not going to sit here and judge Jim Caviezel or what he's done to get prepared for this film, and I don't know that I believe all of that. There's several people. There's people in your life that sometimes embarrass you or do bad things. That's not necessarily a reflection on you. Now, I'm sure, according to some videos, he studied quite a bit and he tried to get into it and whatever. But that's just like a conspiracy theory that I'm not really ready to jump on because I don't see Jim Caviezel out here, as Captain, what, right? Obviously, they put their heart and their soul into it. And he's a Christian man, and he's talked enough about it. And, we can sit here and mince words. And there's even, another AI video going on. This artificial intelligence is getting insane, right? It's getting insane. So that's another conspiracy theory that's been going around. A lot of stuff. Like, this movie's super politicized, but it's because it's effective. You understand? It's effective. Now, I like Owen Benjamin, and I've been reading some of his stuff, and I've even been commenting on him, But I cannot stoop to the level to think that this movie is anything more than what it is, which is a shelved movie during a time based on a true story that needed to come out, that needed to get out, I can't see it any other way. Especially after you go watch it. And it's not like I'm trying to ignore it or anything, but come on, man, we got to give ourselves a little break. This is a win. This is a win for the culture, man. So that's where my stance is on it anyway. But the biggest conspiracy theory of them all is the ones going around talking about, well, this happened in Colombia and no kids have been saved in America. And, you know, this kind of thing just doesn't happen. They're trying to erase the this situation from existence. I mean, they really are. And to me, that's scary. That is certainly scary because, I mean, we know this stuff happens, man. We know it's widespread. We know that it is something that happens in our entertainment industry. I mean, in our entertainment industry, we know that this happens quite often. We know there are so many examples that we can go through that we know. And I'm painting this picture here because I probably won't stay on too much longer tonight. But I'm painting this picture because I'm going to share a couple, you know, just to show you. I mean, you don't need showing, but the people that are watching this that might catch it somewhere later. Something very near and dear to me that's happened. But that this crazy narrative, like this is some QAnon conspiracy, and that this stuff doesn't really happen. It doesn't go on in America and all this. I mean, a month ago, our Biden administration, they stopped using biometrics and identifying the children and basically said just give the children to whoever's there. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's something that really happened. Do you think that those children went to God-fearing, you know, Christian homes? Absolutely not. Of course they didn't. We don't know where they went, for God's sakes. That's happened in our own country. But I'd like to share with you just a couple of things. Larry Nassar, for example. Larry Gerard Nassar is an American serial blank, 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 and former sports medicine osteopathic physician. For 18 years, he was a team doctor of the United States women's national gymnastics teams, where he used his position to exploit, deceive, and you know what, hundreds of children and young women. That's in America. We all know about that. New York Post, Sicko Sport doc Larry Nassar was stabbed inside his cell away from prison cameras. Insider. The brutal attack on Sicko Sports doctor Larry Nassar was inside his cell and out of sight of cameras, according to the Insider. Anyway, I can't really read this article to you because it's got too many bad words that's, you know, going to cost me. You can read it yourself. I'm scrolling through a little bit so you can see it. But that, you remember, this was that Olympic coach. Hundreds of girls. Hundreds, man. I mean, the examples are all over the place. Now, we're not focusing on it. I'm not saying that it happens on every street corner. But I can tell you one thing. After 23 years of bail bonding in 1 to 2 counties, I can certainly share some stories with you off air that would probably make your blood boil. Because I've been out in the midst of some of this stuff, and I know things that go on. And of course, that's all, you know, confidential. But I'm just telling you, you just have to take my word for it. I've been out there. I've seen things. I've been to places, and I know cases, and I work with lawyers, and I work with law enforcement, and it's out there. But here's one that's very near and dear to my heart. Bart Husky. Let's see if I can pull this man up right here. And this was crazy because this picture that I'm hopefully pulling up right now, this was the one picture that I could find. That's it, man. Can you see that? That's a grainy freaking picture. Now, I found more since I got on the computer, but that's a grainy freaking picture of this guy. Now, this is my hometown. This is my hometown that I want to share with you. Okay? And this was back in 2008, y'all. This was 2008. A Lafayette man arrested Monday on federal child you-know-what charges is a well-known tennis instructor who has coached many children. James Bart Husky, which was 38 years old, had been charged with manufacturing child you-know-what and uploading it to the internet. Patty Scott, let's see, he had served the Lafayette area for several years as a private tennis instructor, working with countless children and young people. Now, obviously, this is an example that doesn't include exactly what Sound of Freedom is talking about, right? Which is like trafficking. But this happened in my hometown, and I'm trying to... Authorities said Husky made a series of you-know-what videos depicting repeated you-know-whats of a young girl over the course of several years. He allegedly produced a notorious set of blank for blank 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 that have circulated around the world with demand from the most hardcore and despicable you-know-what consumers. A series of videos depicts a girl from the time she was 5 to 9. And the law enforcement has taken, around the country, has taken extraordinary steps to find this alleged predator. He has now been found, blah, 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 blah. So, let me go on a little bit more and explain to you how they found this guy. Now, a lot of you guys might remember this. It said, okay, here we go. I'm trying to find this. According to United States Attorney Namias, and the information presented in court in June 2006, Australian authorities informed the FBI's Innocent Images Unit about an intentional investigation of the activities of a group of traders. These traders use sophisticated security measures to protect their trading from the authorities. Agents with the FBI began investigating this group and recovered particularly graphic and disturbing photos and videos of man engaged, and it was being traded among the group. Over the last 2 years, the images of this child were getting worse and worse and worse. Anyway, there was so many. The Innocent Images, working with the National Center for Missing and Blank Children, United States Postal Inspection Service, Richmond Field Office of the FBI, Maine State Police, Georgia Bureau, blah, 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 Atlanta Field Office of the FBI, all working with Australia. Identifying was quite difficult in the face of the perpetrator was often blurred using computer graphics, sometimes wore a mask, had the... using items shown in the background of some of the photos and videos like bedding, painting, a 2-car interiors, they were able to identify. Anyway, that's all. I mean, I cannot read this without like getting completely like kicked off, right? But you can look that up. I can send you the links. I mean, the man was sentenced to like 70 years and had to pay restitution of $12,000. And at first, when it was reported, he was supposed to get like 3 life sentences of 99 years. But let me tell you where this took place. Not all of the incidents or anything, but where this took place was like 1/8 of a mile, maybe not even 1/4 of a mile, where I lived, where I grew up. And I'll never, ever forget this story as long as I live, because everybody knows that Husky was a freaking tennis instructor, a private tennis instructor, and kids were there all the time, and he was around them all the time, and he was doing this crazy stuff. And when we all found out about this, we found out that Australia had been trying to track him, and some of these videos were going for like tens of thousands of dollars. Of course, I'm not going to even go into the detail of who it was, or but I mean, like, it made me cry. It made me cry to think about that right down the road from where I grew up. My heavenly place, right, the place I grew up as a child. To think that someone that close was being treated this way, things were being done this way, and it's never left me. And of course, I was younger at the time, and couldn't do anything about it. If that was something that happened now, well, I can't say that either. Or get in trouble. But anyhow, you get my point. And this all kind of ties together. Don't think for a second. Don't believe that these idiots that are peddling this conspiracy theory and this QAnon, they're all a bunch of can openers, man. They're all a bunch of can openers. The media, the mainstream media that's just conglomerated together to put all this narrative against this movie shows you how scared they are for people to talk about this. It shows you how scared that they are for people to bring these things up and to bring them to light, because we see all of this activity in our culture and in our media, in the BBC this week, Larry Nassar. We know that these things go on and that it's constantly trying to be covered up. Disney holding this movie for 5 years, and the fact that they had their own ring going on down in Disney that was covered up a couple years ago that we can't even talk about. We cannot even discuss, or else I'm going to get kicked off of air. Man, let me tell you something. Take this as a win for the culture war. I'm very grateful and glad that this is being brought to light. Now, of course, like I said, I have some other stuff that I'm not going to cover tonight because there are way more films, and probably more, might even get to the point more. But they've been out for some time, and I was looking at some of them. There's like 20. Somebody posted a list of 20, and I was looking at them, and I was like, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of this. Well, guess what? Sound of Freedom's out there, and maybe this will bring some more awareness and get people ready to go in some kind of action, right? And so this is where I want to... and I'm going to get to comments, y'all. This is where I want to go. I want to show you this. I'm going to kind of pull it up a little bit bigger so that we can look at it. This is the group. All right. The fight. This is Operation Underground Railroad. All right. Now, regardless of what you think or what conspiracy theories are out there, I tend to wish and believe that groups like this are in the fight, that they are using money and using all these things to really, really, really ramp up what they're doing. And keep in mind that this movie 2018, who was president in 2018? What was the president focused on during the 2018 before the world got shut down, right, by COVID? What were they doing? They were busting everybody and their brother. They were looking for all of these things, and they were trying to get That's what the big thing was. That was what that president was focused on, was finding people that were doing these kinds of things and getting them off the street, getting them prosecuted, finding children. Man, you get what I'm saying. So I want to bring this up. If you don't already know, I've been looking into it. Operation Underground Railroad. We exist to rescue children from you know what, right? The fight. It says in here, we lead the fight against this and the exploitation. Involved in 4,000 plus operations, impacted 7,000 plus lives, involved in 6,500 plus arrests. So, I want everybody to go to this website. I want everybody to look at it. You know what? If I'm wrong and this is some kind of weird wacko conspiracy theory and it's all tied into everything else and whatever. I could be wrong about a lot more, but they have clubs, the Abolitionist Club, the Conductor Club, Rep the Cause, stories, start a fundraiser, raise awareness. And I actually filled that one out to raise awareness. I thought that I could get a hold of some material that I could use for when we do events, and I probably can, but this is great. I would much rather be supporting these people, all right, than I would be a politician. I'm just saying. I would much rather. And they're not the only group out there. So this is just something that I wanted to show everybody. Operation Underground Railroad. That's where this whole thing comes from. If you don't like them or you got a question, guess what? You can go and you send them a question. Send them a message, I don't see anybody... hang on one second. Of course, this whole thing is being questioned, the narrative and everything. But, let's see, Caleb House. I wanted to cover that one too. That was somebody sent to me. But like I said, man, this is a win for us. Okay? This is a total win for us. let's see if this is it. I think this is it. No. Yeah. Grindstone Ministries. Maybe this is it. So let's look at another one while I got all this pulled up on the screen, right? What is Caleb House? Was established while on mission with Grindstone Ministries at Bethany House for juvenile human you-know-what survivors. So this is another one that you can check out. It's called grindstoneministries.com, Caleb House. Founder, T.J. Morris, Grindstone Ministries. It's a 501c nonprofit. So is Operation Underground Railroad, nonprofit, right? They use their money. They put their money where their mouth is. At least what I can see, at least what I can see. So there's 2 places here. There's probably more that are local in our area, because it's a travesty. I can't even imagine, honestly, what you'd go through like that, And I saw a video last night. I made a little short of it about in Africa they're mining cobalt for electric cars and cell phones, and I put sleep tight, because we do not know how good we have it. We should be thanking God every single morning, before we go to bed, on how good we have it. The fact that I can sit here on this idiot box and do what I'm doing right now and not have to worry about mining for cobalt, or I'm not worried about my child right now. I mean, man, are we lucky or what? And we're watching it being all pissed away. And then you get a movie like this that comes out, and you get this much backlash from the media, from the ugh. Makes me sick, y'all. It makes me sick. And I want to tell Rolling Stone that you are nothing but a bunch of can openers. I want to tell Variety that you're nothing but a bunch of can openers. And I'm not even going to get into this tonight. So ask yourself, what is driving the... I can't talk about any of this stuff, but anyway. If you can see my little cursor here, I'm not even going to go there because it's... Anyway, like I said, we ought to be so thankful that we do live in America, but there are people out there hurting. There are people out there that need our help. So I plan to get involved a little bit with Operation Underground Railroad. I want to look into the Caleb House, Grindstone Ministries. I want to look into things like that and let them know that's where I want to be fighting at. And we know Jeffrey Epstein, for God's sakes. I mean, do we even need to... This is not conspiracy theory. These people are a bunch of can openers, man. It's not conspiracy theory. The Hunter Biden laptop is not a conspiracy theory. Joe Biden's daughter's diary is not a conspiracy theory. Sound of Freedom is not a conspiracy theory. All I can do is sit back and hope and pray that these people, these organizations are impacting and are doing the right thing with everything. Because we can find fault in everything, man. We can find fault in the color blue, for God's sakes. And I'm the same as everybody else, I guess, but I try to give people the benefit of the doubt at certain, I mean, we can find fault in everything. Everybody can point every little thing out, but, I'm going to rest my head on my pillow tonight, knowing that these people are out for good. Not to mention the fact that you haven't heard a peep out of this stuff, that nobody will cover it, and all of a sudden now it's getting big. So let's see what our Department of Justice is going to do, right? Because, they're going after anybody that's after Joe Biden, right? They're going after whistleblowers now that are after Joe Biden. I mean, let's see what happens now. Who the heck knows? But anyway, this is a win, folks. I hope you go see the movie. I really, really hope you go see the movie, and I hope that you support them. We're going to do some comments. Thanks for everybody that's been hanging out. Ray, what's up, brother? I appreciate you being here. He said I opened it up very carefully. Yeah, cat's out of the bag on that, Ray. I hope Yeah, I'm at a loss for words at how stupid that is. So, Lisa Adams, that's some bull stuff. Ray is one of the best patriots on the planet. Amen, Lisa. And yeah, or you're breathing the wrong air. Yeah. I'm sure I'm gonna get something for this. I don't know how. I've tried to be careful, but it's hard. It's hard to have to skip over words, and it breaks your concentration. XXL Dude watching via TV. Thank you so much, sir. XXL Dude, the leftist media says wanting to end child blank blank and working out are both right-wing extremes. That's a great point. That's another thing. This is turned into a literal right-wing extremist issue now. I mean, can you believe this? Can you believe it? I can't even believe it. I can't believe how stupid this is. I mean, folks, if you think that we're living in this kind of world where the polarization is so bad that if you like this movie, you're literally a right-wing extremist, there is no hope for this. You think that politics are gonna change this? I mean, like, I'm getting to the point now where stupid. I mean, you like I said at the beginning, you cannot even reason with people who think like that. Just because it's something they don't agree with, and then they label you as some kind of terrorist extremist over something about a child, for God's sake. That is sick. That's sick in the head. You're all a bunch of can openers. Jan Patterson Burgess, nice to see you, ma'am. His key was one of the worst. Husky was one of the worst blanks ever. Horrible thing he did and filmed it. You're absolutely right. And as you know, I have a little bit of privy into some law enforcement, and I got a little bit of inside stories on things and how they were able to identify it, and then the fact that it was close to the house. It's crazy. It was crazy. I mean, this dude was, at the time, this guy was one of the top 50 most wanted traffickers in the world, okay, from the stuff he was doing, okay? One of the top 50. You don't believe me? Go look it up. One of the top 50. The videos that were being made and sold were some of the highest demanded in the world. Right here in Lafayette, Georgia. So don't tell me that it's a conspiracy theory and this stuff doesn't happen. All right? I lived through it, for God's sakes. I mean, everybody remembers this around here. Of course, we all forget it now. You know, it's just a normal day, you know, but... And then Jan says, he lived about a mile from me. Exactly. Jan, you were about as far away from him as I was on the other side. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lisa Adams, because we're the ones that believe it. We're the issue as usual. Absolutely. Well, like I said, folks, they wouldn't be fighting us so hard if we weren't being effective. I mean, we were really... This year, man, we've really turned some heads with Bud Light and with this movie coming out. And I'm looking at this as a win, folks. I'm really looking at it as a win. But let's see, we're getting another one. Complacent, that's part of the problem. Yeah, complacency is a problem. The whole thing is a problem. I tell you what, if I won the lottery tomorrow, man, I would start my own nonprofit organization right here in town, and I'd go. I mean, I'm telling you, it takes money. You got to have money. There's so many things that I would do, that I would start up, and that I would do that would just strengthen our cultures. But, you know, I do what I can. And complacency is a part of that, right? I mean, complacency. I could just quit and do it. When I first found out about Operation Underground Railroad, I was like, I want to be a part of that. I want to get these people off the streets. I want to rescue children, you know. And I thought long and hard, a couple hours just daydreaming, not about how glamorous it would be, but I mean, I already know I'm a bounty hunter. I bail enforce. I've put people in jail before. I've been in situations, and I just thought, you know, just the satisfaction of rescuing children, right? Of taking these people off the streets would be great. But like I said, you know, we all got to work. We all got to feed them babies, you know. So we'll do what we can. Who knows what the future holds, y'all? But anyway, I appreciate everybody hanging out with me. I have no outro music because Facebook didn't like it. We'll pick back up next week where we left off. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on, right? Crazy stuff going on. Right now, another day, World War III is completely not completely, but averted at this time. But God knows what we're going to deal with tomorrow. We are watching Elon Musk's new artificial intelligence come out, and the new threads and the new blada yada and the digital whatever that's coming at us, right? So we're not going to ever give up. We're not going to stop, and we're not going to let any of this stuff move us from where we stand. And if you haven't watched the movie, go watch the movie, y'all. It's great. Just don't expect to walk out there, walk out with your head held high. But fight in this culture war. Go watch the movie. See for yourself. You can look up the research, all the articles that I've shown you. And, man, just like I said, we'll fight against this crap. Until next time. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for all you do as well, and everybody else that does your part. Yeah, we also thank Tyler Martin and Ray and Jennifer Tudor and the Walker GOP and all the people out there that's really, really, really got their boots on the ground, man. There's so much good stuff coming. Really, there is. I know we talk about doom and gloom, but there's so much good stuff coming. I'm telling you. We're striking back. But anyway, y'all have a great evening. I'm out of here. I'll see